Good evening and welcome to Mindful Live 418. Thank you for being here. It is currently the 26th of July. Yeah, July is nearly finished. For those who are on vacation, well, you all aren't generally in my crowd, but your vacation is halfway done. I'm just letting you know. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news. But for those of us grown folks who works, whether it's Java or no Java or decaf, for us, it's just nearly month end. And the good things that come with that. The only live I actually watch. Word up, Torres Lafoucade. Happy coup day tomorrow, Ria says. When man telling me nonsense, I just get chain up too. Don't worry, sis, we in this together. Oh, good grief. Good grief. Abu says, how come our athletes and teams don't ever have sponsorship from any athletic companies? And Ria says, why would they? Unless they are known internationally for their skill, they won't. Danica says, side note, this was the worst opening ceremony ever. Listen, to be very honest with you, I didn't catch the opening ceremony. All I caught was some backlash. People saying that some things seemed a bit Luciferian and strange, and some people really didn't like it. I don't know. I might have to catch it after the live and see what my views on it would be. Torres says, and people getting robbed left and right. July done, 25th is payday. Now it's until August 25th. Once the 25th done, July done. July has no purpose anymore. Once the 25th pass, what is the reason for the month? Yeah, Willie Bang. Yeah. It happens. What is the purpose of they could just cut the month by the 25th and forget those other 6 days or 5 days or how much ever. Just cut the month. Let me just roll into the next one and start counting 1 to 25. Hey, but in the serious news, well, I guess designer clothing could be serious. It could be serious. But in other serious news, also all this money France spend ain't no reparations dues. Oh, good grief. You know, those might be good points to actually raise on the reparations committees. That you know, the Caribbean, the West Indies, CARICOM has a reparations committee, and they're looking into reparations and such and such and such. But those things could be points to raise, and you know, does it make sense for a country to say that they are legally required, as far as they see it, they need that reparations, and then you go and allow them to jump up? I mean, those are questions. But Ria, to be honest, I don't like the word deserve. The only person that could decide deserve is God. I'm sorry. I don't like the word deserve. And I don't know how they would get it. Reparate. Alright. And you know, I've been looking into a lot of the reparation committees and the people who are pushing for reparations and such. And very often, you know what it ends up being? Like, yeah, they did. I don't deny that at all. But Michael Modesto, I wouldn't use had. That's it. I wouldn't say had. I might say has had it, as in they're still having it. Abu says right now France, NATO and US generals talking like African resources is them own. Reparations, nothing. That's kind of partial part of my point, you know, Abu Friday. Like, if reparations are that we beg them to give us some money, I don't know how reparative that is. And I don't understand why any country would do it. I don't understand why any country would do it. Like, why would they? And it's like, these several things don't make sense to me in this. You'd say in the same sentence that these countries are irredeemably wicked, white supremacists, and imperialists in nature. And some of them may indeed be very imperialist and such. And if they are that way, why would they give you reparations? And then if they are that way and they do give you reparations, shouldn't that be cause for some concern on your part? Because as I was saying, when I look at many of those reparations committees, some one of those Ivy League schools in the United States were decolonizing in the Pacific too. I dislike that decolonizing phrase, because people who talk about decolonizing very often were colonizers on their own, and they just weren't as good at it. Oftentimes the decolonizers are just the people who lost the colonization battle, and they come to now talk about decolonize. Like, no, you lost the battle, you were playing the same game too. But I sidetrack. Many of the reparation committees, when I look at them, what they actually are NGOs somewhere. They say, okay, we're going to give reparations to the people, and they pay a couple million into some NGO run by some person who has their political leanings and affiliations, and they effectively launder money for the black population into their own political causes. Torres said, I don't know, but anytime the reparations talk come up, I just feel real backish. Run over and take it. Well, bro, you can try. You can try. And I believe many have. Why is CARICOM so silent on the US cutting a deal with Kenya to send Kenyan police to Haiti? I believe CARICOM is silent because they agreed to it. No one wanted to send their military to Haiti, and they got Kenya to do it. Nah, bro, people lacking belly. So, I'm saying you can. You can feel free. Show us that you aren't lacking the belly, that you have all the belly in the world. But you see, there are others of us who don't see the world in collective views, and although I can agree and I can see the evil of history and I can see even the results coming down, I can also see that the vengeful nature along genealogical lines, me wanting to forcefully take from people who didn't actually enslave me. I wasn't a slave. I am speaking about my ancestors in proxy and trying to claim it on their behalf. Some of those things seem a bit difficult. Like, I am not against reparations in the real sense of the victims and the perpetrators, but I feel like to go back over a century where both victims and perpetrators aren't alive anymore becomes difficult. Eventually, very likely what that would become is, if it does work, it's England has to pay some money to Trinidad and Tobago as a country. It's like back in the days when I was in high school and you'd go to some competition, you go to some debate or something on behalf of the high school, you practice, your mommy prints out copies and stuff, you set it up well, you win, and you win a prize and they give the school it. Like, bro, I'm not a collectivist. Give me my prize. But that's the effect. And if they do that in Haiti, imagine if they paid reparations to Haiti the way most of the countries talk about reparations. If they paid like that, if they paid it like that 5 years ago, and they paid back, if they gave Haiti $100 billion 5 years ago, what do you think would have happened? Remember, there was an assassination of a president, then a Austria of a prime minister, and the country is currently being run by gangs. Do you think the gang members, all of them who were alive 10 years ago, do you think if the Haiti's government was given $100 billion, host you gone? If Haiti's government was given $100 billion, do you think that all of that would have been different? Ria wants to know, here the $1 million question, why people don't leave Haiti. Many people are trying, darling. Many people are trying. Haiti share an island and the other half of the island won't help them. Torres, you have to go through history. Haiti and the Dominican Republic aren't friends, and they aren't friends for good reason. Haiti has it. The Haitian version is that after they won independence, they went over to their island partners and attempted to liberate them. And their island partners did not want that liberation. Okay. The way the Dominicans see it is that they fought off their colonial masters, gained freedom, and the first thing they did was try to conquer us. So they aren't friends. The way the Dominican Republic sees it is they were once the colonial powers trying to take us over, talking about liberation. But we know when the Russian communists, the collectivists, when they liberated countries, what that looked like. Kremak, you say you believe that 100 billion would have changed all the gangsters' minds. It's funny coming from you. It's very funny coming from you, Kremak, after the conversations last night, where you seem to believe like there's a genetic component where there's a lean towards the lower side. So you think you could buy out that lean, Kremak? You think it's money is the issue? Kremak, those two opinions don't mesh. 100 billion would not have just caused more chaos. I think probably everyone on that island may have been dead by now. Because 100 billion to Haiti isn't 100 billion to Haitians. It's 100 billion to the government. The government run by the man who was killed by the people. Well, involving foreigners, but that's another issue. The people who wanted that man dead, do you think they would have wanted him dead less if he had $100 billion under his control? And bear in mind, it's not like the Haitian public loved him. He was corrupt. It was widely known. His successor, who by the way was pointed as one of the possible suspects in the planning of the first president's he was so hated the gangs rose up and chased him out of the country. Do you think if that second Ariel Henry was his name, do you think if he had $100 billion, that barbecue and those guys would have been like, you know what, we actually like you all now? Ria says, imagine Haiti struggling more than us, but our clothes looking like Ratton's wholesale special, while they have one of the best kits for the Olympics 2024. At least we saw that their resources went into the Ria. Kremak, that's a materialist view. A materialist's view is that the reason there are problems in the world is because people lack stuff. Reality does not bear that out. That's not the way reality works. Giving 100 billion to a corrupt political organization in a divided country on the edge of gang warfare is not. Who seems genuine? Now you're trolling now. You're trolling now. Don't forget the coup anniversary is tomorrow. And I'm not reading that second piece here before you see somebody look to charge me for incitement out here. Who financing barbecue? Abu Friday, very good question, bro. Very, very good question. And I mean, it's no secret that the US has been involved in Haiti's business for a very long time. But to be fair, whose business hasn't the US been involved in? Like, I mean, that is what they do. Oh, Krimak says barbecue. I like him, his ideology. You know, really and truly, Krimak, like, to me, this is to me, I don't know all the nitty-gritty details. I could only talk about my general reading of news and what I know of the news that I read. And what I read of him and what he's doing is basically how humans have always been humaning, innit? The one who could control the violence is the one who generally would end up being the leader in the district. And just being a violent psychopath isn't going to get you a successful group of people to lead for a long time. So usually many of those people, they form themselves into pretty faithful leaders. Violent leaders of groups aren't an uncommon thing. That's how humans lived for most of our history. Most of our history was the violent person led, and the others followed. So I mean, you liking that isn't something strange. You liking that isn't something strange. That's a common human thing. You're just human. That's normal. I read about him also, he's like the modern day Robin Hood. Well, doesn't every big bandit claim that, like, it's like politics at some point, and he is a politician by now. The position he's at, they will call him a gang leader still, but he is a politician. He is involving himself in the affairs of the polity. He is dismantling smaller gangs, uniting them. Krimak, bro. That doesn't make him a good person, it makes him a good criminal or a good businessman. And which criminal do you know that has gained public popularity and doesn't claim to be something of a Robin Hood? All the people that the police call gang leaders in Trinidad and Tobago, what are they called in the general society? Community leaders. Those men are community leaders. So, what you're describing is barbecue is a community leader. Out of chaos, there will be order. Well, Krimak, that's the point I am making, though. That's how human history has always been. That's how human history has always been. Yes, things get chaotic, a war goes on, but there's going to be a victor in the war, the one who is able to best control the violent group of people and aim them pointedly at his opponent. He will win, and he will be a violent man who wins. That's normal. Where order will rise? Well, the thing is, I don't think barbecue has a very good chance of raising any order because the present world that exists is connected too much, and I don't think many people, especially because he's in the Western Hemisphere, so close to the United States, and you know how much of a busybody they are, to say it lightly. I don't think that he would be allowed to just carry on. Like, even if he were able to consolidate all of Haiti under his leadership, which I don't think he'd ever be able to do anytime soon, I don't think he's going to get international support, and pretty soon someone will come knocking to bring back democracy to Haiti. Democracy is a euphemism by now. I hope people get it. That when they say democracy, they don't say what you think they mean is not really what they're saying. Over in the United States, they had someone they voted for. The party changed that person out, and they said that's how they're going to defend democracy. So then the United States is the problem then? No, the United States is the current problem. Well, one of the current problems. But even if the United States was to disappear, even if the United States was to disappear, do you think that the next most powerful country is just going to be like, you know, we have the power to be in the ascendancy and make all of you all work for us and make life easier for us, but you know what we'll do? We'll just leave you all to live and be happy, you know? We'll just do that. You think that's what's going to happen if the United States isn't in power? Like, okay, I have a Nigerian cousin that would like to talk to you. Message me after. But we have TNT news. We have TNT news to talk about. Let's jump into this. A hard segue, a hard switch into this story where now the police seem to be in some trouble. Police acted wrong in making arrests. Lead attorney for AG's office in appeal of Brent Thomas ruling said that. Abu says, imagine we have to beg them for a license to do business in our own oil fields. The state has accepted that members of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service acted unlawfully when they went to Barbados in October 2022 and arrested firearms dealer Brent Thomas before bringing him back to this country and charging him with possession of prohibited weapons. Making the concession yesterday was King's Counsel Peter Knox during the hearing of an appeal brought by the state against the 2023 ruling of Justice Devendra Rampersad. The judge had condemned the actions of the officers and also permanently stayed the criminal proceedings against Thomas. Knox, lead attorney for the Office of the Attorney General, said what ought to have happened was that when the officers obtained the arrest warrant, they were to only notify their colleagues in Barbados of it and for officers there to arrest him. So basically, that big tanto rambo big shot nonsense that not all, but a lot of our police like the gallery thing. You understand? We are Trinis. You know what that means when we say they like the gallery, they like real gallery thing. So they jump on the security jet and fly over to Barbados to go and grab him up on the tarmac and throw him in the jet and bring him over. How dare you feel you could run away from the police? I come to show what police can do. Interestingly enough, it was a female officer in charge of that operation too. Just like the female officers at City Gate. You know, an interesting statistic is that female officers in situations of difficulty tend to use their guns more, you know. The worst person you want to cross is a female officer. I'm just letting you know. Why didn't they let Interpol handle the situation? No, it wasn't up to Interpol. They didn't have to do that Interpol business. We are part of CARICOM. They were supposed to send the arrest warrant over to the Barbados police, whatever. Are they still royal? No, I think Barbados got their emancipation sometimes. So I don't think they'd be royal police anything. But the Barbados police, they were supposed to send the arrest warrant over. The Barbados police would have gone and arrested him and initiated extradition proceedings against him. Chris says, I honestly thought Ferris Al-Nowaris 058 could not have been beaten, but here is Under Armour. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. For Thomas to be returned to Trinidad, if he had refused to voluntarily do so, then extradition proceedings had to be triggered against him in Barbados. But while this was so you all understand, the King's Counsel that is in charge of the state's case is admitting this. They're admitting that this was all wrong. What happened shouldn't have happened that way. The police acted wrongfully. The proper way to do this is you send an arrest warrant to the Barbados police, they arrest him. If he wants to return voluntarily, beautiful. If he doesn't, you initiate extradition proceedings. It goes to court. You don't just go and grab people up, hops them up and throw them in a plane and drag them back home. We aren't that kind of country. Maybe if barbecue was our supreme leader, as Cremak may prefer, we could have functioned like that. But no, we don't have a barbecue for a leader here. No, that's not how it works over in these parts. But while this was so, Knox said the AG's office was in disagreement with a declaration made by Justice Rampersad, in which the justice said the state had acted unlawfully. Knox said the adverse findings should have only been made against the members of the TTPS, headed by then Senior Superintendent, now Deputy Commissioner of Police. Do not let that pass you by. The person that they are now throwing under the bus. The person they are now throwing under the bus did get a promotion. So maybe the state give it and it take it away. So maybe it's possible to be loyal, and they will throw you under the bus when the gobar hits the proverbial fan. But at least you will be rewarded, although sprayed in tatter. That's just a theory. I don't know that to be true. And the state is saying, don't blame the state. Yeah. The state is saying, don't blame us. That's on the police. If it is the case, as some people were hinting, that this whole business was really because of a grouse between politicians. If that is true, for the police to jump in that, obeying orders of politicians, I'm not saying that's what happened, but if, as some people were assuming and putting out there, is the case, for them to do that and then get thrown under the bus like this, funny. Again, no accountability. Who to blame? Chris 868 says. Chris, I like to see how this ends myself. If they're saying that what they did was unlawful and it effectively resulted in kidnapping, what should happen to officers who use state resources to effectively kidnap someone? What should be the result of that? Although Knox agreed that the officers had acted unlawfully, he said they did not do so out of malice. Fugitive from justice, the King's Counsel gave a recap of the events of the days prior to Thomas being arrested in Barbados. He told the 3-member panel of justices that armed with a warrant, the officers went to Thomas' home and placed him under arrest. The next day, they found prohibited weapons at his business place, Specialist Shooters Trading Center. On October 2nd, a justice ordered his immediate release after his attorneys filed a writ of habeas corpus, since no charges had been brought against him since the arrest. Following his release, Thomas left Trinidad for Miami, USA via Barbados to receive medical treatment. Your host. So these couples just took pattern and fell in line. All right. So the progression of events was that he was served a warrant, arrested. They searched his business place, found prohibited weapons. When you see they mask it all in a general term as prohibited weapons, you kind of could take some assumptions there oftentimes. Like, if it was rocket launchers, very often they see such things. But we'll see. Now they arrested him, but they never charged the man. When his lawyer forced them to have to charge him or release him, he was released. When he was free to go, he left for Miami to undergo medical attention. It was upon investigators learning that he had traveled to Barbados that they obtained another warrant from a justice of the peace for his arrest. Knox submitted that the officers had reason to believe that Thomas was a fugitive from justice given the circumstances leading up to him leaving this country. This is not a case of the police acting without reasonable suspicion, but we accept responsibility for Mr. Thomas being arrested in Barbados. The police acted wrong, but they did not act maliciously. Here's the thing though. If you didn't have anything to charge the man with, but Abu Friday says rich men had a fallout, that's all happened here. Maybe so, but it's telling. Because it shows you what they can do, what they are willing to do, and what no one would be found responsible for when they do it. Because this whole thing doesn't really make sense. You arrested the man, you found you had no charge to charge him with. So you had to release him. When you released him, he said he had a medical emergency, he was flying out. Because he flew out. Because he flew out. Because of that, you run him down and arrest him. Why? If you had a charge in the first place, why didn't you charge him? Non-lethal items. In response to his submissions, Thomas's lead attorney, Fiad Hossain, senior counsel, said that prior to his client importing the non-lethal items, which included flash grenades and tear gas canisters, he was granted import permits from then acting police commissioner MacDonald Jacob. So, the prohibited items they found were non-lethal weapons. Just by the way, in a country where people are falling by the groups per day with bullets, all of this money and resources chased him down for non-lethal weapons that he was granted a permit for. In making reference to brief submissions by lead attorney for the office of the DPP, Ian Benjamin, that Jacob did not have the authority to grant permits to import such items, Hossain said if this was so, then Jacob was aiding and abetting Thomas in committing an illegality. Nathan, is there anything as a moral arms dealer? Maybe, yes. Yeah, I could see that. But as I was saying last night with the Sonia Massey shooting business, whether the person was good moral or not is irrelevant to me in terms of evaluating the police's behavior. They have been working with the man for decades. He had a permit from the commissioner. And they said, doesn't matter. We're just going to harass you because you crossed whoever you crossed. I think we're seeing how effective some politicians could get to you. If you're wondering why some people might be worried and scared of certain politicians, I think that's what we saw here. a wealthy guy crossed the wrong politician, well, isn't that what a pharmacist is, Torres Lafoucault? So if there can be a moral arms dealer, there can also be a moral drug dealer. That's not big boy problems. That's a big boy in problems, but the thing itself isn't big boy problems, as if it's something that's irrelevant to us. That's not how it works. It's even more relevant to us, because what it says is, if it's so easy for them to do it to a big boy, what's your portion? And being aware of it makes a lot of sense. Did you see the situation where the woman house broken down with 7 children? No, I didn't see that. Didn't see that OnlyFans titty. They have been doing this to us, Nathan. I know. I'm not saying they haven't. But that's exactly my point. That's exactly my point. That's why it's not just big boy problems. It's all of our problems. False cases is not a new thing. Of course it's not. Of course it's not a new thing. That has always been occurring. And if you don't have the money, good luck fighting it. And that's why, to some extent, having political divisions in a country makes sense. You don't want a one-party country. You don't want to be in a place where there's only one party. It doesn't work to your benefit. Like even if, I am saying if, this isn't necessarily the case, I'm saying if. But if the case is that there are some lawyers and some judges that are politically leaning anti-government, that makes an automatic check and balance against a government going overly rogue. Like, I believe in the United States in their earlies, their election ran like the person who won became president, but the person who, the runner-up, the person who came second, who didn't win, they became vice president. Now, that's a very interesting thing, where you have the counterbalances right there that weigh and push and pull at each other. So, you know, always be careful when you see a government trying to homogenize too much. Like, even if there are people holding things up and stopping the government from doing things that they think they need to do, I think in the long run a lot of that is beneficial. Yes, opposition, KP, yes, opposition is what I'm talking about. Imagine my fam had to dodge bullets only to be accused of setting up the robbery. Madness. But the big one get affected this time because he and his friends has some drama. Yep. They don't usually get affected. Like, I think the DPP betrayed a lot by saying, in this case, the DPP said that the commissioner didn't have the legal authority to grant the man that license to import. Now, if that's the case, as the man's lawyer was pointing out, that means the commissioner was an accessory to crime, and all preceding commissioners were accessories, because he has been working with the police for a while. So, which one is it? Is it that you are only now catching on and changing the way you view the law to catch this man? Or is it that that has always been the way the law was, and everyone turned a blind eye until they were ready to, until he crossed the wrong line? I don't know who will judge the judges, the question goes. Who will judge the judges? Anyway, people, this is going to be a short live tonight, and I know many people wouldn't like that, but alas, it's a Friday night live, and Iman is tired. So, That's all I have for now. I hope you're educated, informed, or entertained, and I'll see you guys again for the next Mindful Live, which is going to be Monday. I'll see you guys Monday for that next Mindful Live. Until then, people, stay well, stay good, stay safe, stay inside, outside, sketchy. I bid adieu. We out. Laters, folks. Ciao. Bye.